Jazz at Lincoln Center. This is Club Coca-Cola, the House of Swing. We thank you all for coming out. We got a wonderful band on stage to play for you. Before they do, just a few house rules. We ask that you be mindful of your conversation so we all can enjoy the music together. And of course, please refrain from any flash photos. And now, with no further ado, please give a very warm welcome to Ulysses Owens Jr.'s New Century Big Band.
We are so excited. We are the New Century Big Band. And man, we're having fun. And this is the last set, unfortunately, but I think we have many more sets to come in the future. That first composition was actually written by the great John Lewis and arranged by one of my dearest friends and someone I lean on a lot for musical advice, the great Mr. Mike Dease. Another special guest. For those that may not know, in any musical situation, one of the most important relationships is between the bass and the drums. If we are not getting along, ain't nobody getting along. And this guy not only is one of the most amazing bassists, but he's an unbelievable educator, has a really big heart for the music. And I remember hearing him when I was about 16 years old play with Wynton Marsalis, and I had no idea that many years later he would be in my band. And he's one of the greatest spirits and people on that instrument, and we are so lucky in this band and in this world to have him. Professor Rodney Whitaker on the bass. The New Century concept came from someone who I call him my brother from another mother. His mom is from Japan and mine is from Jacksonville, Florida. And he and I met a few years ago and we decided to make music together, and we formed a partnership that produced a quintet. So we toured for a few years in Japan. We also even have a jazz camp there sponsored by Seiko. And, but we said, man, we got to put together a big band. And so I worked with Mike Dease, and he is someone that I admire greatly and is one of my favorite musicians on the planet. Mr. Takeshi Ohbayashi on the piano. Ohbayashi-san. My Kyodai. We're going to continue on with a composition that features one of the other New Century bandmates. That's the great Mr. Benack III. And yeah, give it up for Benny. And I want you to know, man, we're so honored to make music, and we are going to literally play our hearts out for you and give you everything we got, because you are the reason why we're here. So we're going to continue on with London Town. Thank you. Benny Benack III. That is London Town. I'm going to introduce you to these wonderful musicians. I'm so happy to have them playing with me. You can have great music, but if you don't have great musicians to help develop that music, then it doesn't mean anything. And these are the best of the best. On first tenor, he's a wonderful arranger and just a brilliant musician, and I'm really honored to work with him and humbled to have him in the band. Mr. Michael Thomas. In addition to my work as a musician, I also am honored to be teaching at the Juilliard School, and I've been doing that for about 3 years. And so when it was time to put the big band together, I pulled on some students, and this woman was in my class last year, and she just took care of natural business and is one of my favorite people and musicians. And she's also an entrepreneur. She's got her own jazz camp in Rockport, Massachusetts. I was a guest there, and she's doing great things for jazz. Miss Alexa Tarantino. One of my peers who I'm such a fan of her spirit and her playing. She is from New York City. That's why she's so hip. She's so cool. And she is a musical force, man. I mean, you cannot play around with her. When she's on the bandstand, she demands the best because she is the best. Miss Lakecia Benjamin. I am from Florida, which means that also in my band, I like to have a little swamp dust in the band. I got to have some guys from Florida. And this guy, I've been watching him develop since he was probably about 17, 18 years old, and moved here to New York, and is a great arranger as well. And I know that there's going to be some great things happening in his career. Mr. Daniel Dickinson. From Canada, one of my favorite saxophonist and people. He is one of the most amazing arrangers and just a brilliant mind, Mr. Carl Maraghi. Also my Juilliard classmate, right over here next to me. This guy also is really wonderful to play with. I've also been producing a lot of records, and I hire him as well for the studio because he just knows how to play in such a precise way, and he's just a wonderful musician. Mr. Eric Miller. One of the most dynamic trombonists in the world. I've watched him since he was 17 years old. I remember when he first got off the plane from Georgia. In New York, he and I were at Juilliard at the same time, and he has taken the world by storm. Professor Michael Dease. We have two legends in the band. I already told you about one behind me. The other one is a man who has been on every Today night show band with so many great band leaders. I just heard on the set, he actually was in Gil Evans's band for many years and played with everybody, Grammys, television shows in terms of writing and arranging, and he decided to play in my little humble big band. Mr. Tom Bones Malone. And the baby in the band. He started playing with us last year. He was 17 years old, and I always like to say, and it's true, his parents had to bring him to the gig. And now he's 18 and all blinged out. I call him the pretty boy. He's got his little jewelry on and stuff. And he's such a dynamic musician. When I tell you this guy, I remember emailing him last year, and he was so respectful and he just handled his business. I never felt he was a baby musically, even though he is in that baby face. Give it up for Mr. Wyatt Forhan. Pretty boy. And this lady is something else. I met her about a year ago. Mike Dease introduced me to her because he's always telling me, hey man, you need to check out these young musicians on the scene. And she's serious. I remember us having a meeting about music and about the things she wants to accomplish. And I'm just so honored to have her in the band now before she becomes famous. Miss Gina Banal-Kazar. You know Benny Benack, he's already at Disney's all the time and is a great singer as well and has so many wonderful projects. So from Pittsburgh, Mr. Benny Benack III. So lead trumpet is one of the hardest positions to play in the big band if you don't know already, because you are so responsible for the shape of the band. It's really he and I, and we're really determining how the band moves. And last year I had the great Frank Green, who is one of the greatest lead players in the world. So Frank couldn't make it, so I said to Dease, I was like, man, who are we gonna call? And he said, man, I got somebody young that's really hungry and they really wanna make this music great, and I think they're gonna do their homework. From the rehearsal, he has been taking care of business, and I'm so in love with his playing. Mr. Walter Andre Cano. From the island of the Bahamas, also a Juilliard student, the great Mr. Giveton, Gellin. And someone who I've had a chance to play with for many years. I think he and I moved to New York around the same time, and such a great player and a great human being, and I'm honored to have him in the big band, Mr. Bruce. Give me Harris. Mike Blanken, Bruce Harris. We're gonna continue on actually with a composition of mine called Red Chair. It is called Red Chair because I lived in Harlem a few years ago when you could still afford an apartment in Harlem. And when I lived there, I had this chair in my apartment, and when I had writer's block or when I needed to get inspiration, I would sit in this chair, and always miraculously, melodies would come to me. And so I was there one day, and this cool melody came to me. And so I hope you enjoy Michael Thomas's arrangement of Red Chair. Human Nature. Give it up for Michael Thomas in that arrangement and solo. and the force of Lakecia Benjamin. Whew, all that soul. I hear you, Jazz Mama. That's LaBob Fallon. She supports all of us musicians up here, comes to everybody's gig. Give it up for LaBob Fallon, Jazz Mama. See, she's even at the gigs when there's not as many people as in the room. She's there when it's not sold out. We're gonna move on with the composition by the great Neil Hefti, arranged by Yasushi Nakamura, who's one of the other members of this ensemble. And this is in the style of Count Basie. One of my first records of jazz that I heard was when I was about 16 years old, and that's Count Basie live at the Sands in Vegas. And that record just changed my life, so I wanted to have that sound in this big band. So this is Girl Talk. Giveton Gellin on the trumpet. Give it up, Giveton Gellin. Are you enjoying this music? Gotta make sure. We are gonna move on with a special guest, someone who I love his voice so much. I first met him, I guess about 3 or 4 years ago. I actually met him and Takeshi at the same time. And he is from Los Angeles, California, and I think he is such a dynamic talent, and I think you are seeing someone who is going to be really making great waves in this music world, as he already is. Put your hands together for Mr. Charles Turner III.
There was a boy, a certain strange enchanted boy. They say he traveled very far, over land and sea, a little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one day, one magic day, he passed my way, and as we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me: the greatest thing you'll ever learn, it's just to love and be loved in turn. There was a boy, a certain strange enchanted boy. They say he traveled very far, over land and sea, a little shy instead of I, but very wise was he. And then one day, one magic day, he passed my way, and as we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me: the greatest joy you will ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. shelele, con para, shelele, con para, shelele, con caca, shelele, con caca, shelele, con caca, shelele, con caca, shelele, con que shon, con caca, chadu pa, la tu vita, chuta la la la, let it, shadu le do don le do con caca da da, shala la 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 la, shala la 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 la, cuckoo, shake it, cuckoo, shala la 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 la, hey cuckoo. And then one day, one magic day, he passed my way. And as we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me, the greatest joy you will ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
Charles Turner, Nature Boy. You will see him again. We got a couple more for you. This next one is actually dedicated to the great John Coltrane, which today is his birthday. Give it up for one of the masters, John Coltrane. We're now going to play a composition that was arranged by a wonderful saxophonist and arranger. His name is Diego Rivera, and this is Giant Steps. Thank you so much. We have now come to that part of the show. We're getting ready to play our last one, but it's going to be a big one. And before we do that, I want to thank Roland and this wonderful, wonderful staff. You enjoying this club? They are one of a kind. It's one of the best jazz clubs in the world, and I'm so honored to be able to be here. And we want to thank you, the audience, for being here and spending your hard-earned money for checking out this music at this time. And we appreciate you so much. And we want to make sure that you have a great time going home. So we're going to bring Charles Turner back up. And as he's coming up, give it up for Charles. We have a lot of special people. All of you are special. We have a couple people in the audience who are always with us. And I want to give a shout out to this brother here at this table, Brother Fred, who always comes and also supports us. You! He brings such an energy. And this next song is dedicated to you and LaBob. And we have such fun with it. And again, I want to thank you because we always like to say, and I like to say that making music is such a privilege. And to make it for you, we're honored. So thank you. Have a wonderful night home and God bless.
Let's give it up for Ulysses Owens Jr. Let's give it up for Ulysses Owens Jr. one more time. Well, this last song, all right now. This last song that we're going to do is a song that I wrote. It's called Harlem, Harlem, Harlem. Yes, and so when I decided to write this song, I was doing something for the Harlem stage, and I wanted to write an ode to Harlem. So Ulysses heard the song a few times, and he said, I want to do a big band arrangement with my band of this song. And I said, really? So, man, it's been such a pleasure singing this song with this wonderful band. And here we go. This is Harlem, Harlem. You got it. Take me to Harlem, where everybody knows your name. The feeling always is the same. The people shout and they proclaim. Take me uptown, where everybody's feeling fine. The streets are lively all the time, whether summer or in winter's prime. It's that kind of spirit we call and maintain, that it's Harlem, Harlem, Harlem. It can't be renamed, and it will remain. Sugar Hill to Riverside Drive, Malcolm X down to Harlem River Drive, jazz and music history rooted deep inside. Take me uptown. Sunday morning, everybody's in their prime. After church, we smile and laugh and then we dine. And we'll dance and even have a glass of wine. It's that kind of spirit we call and maintain. It's Harlem, Harlem, Harlem. It can't be renamed, and it will remain. Take me to Harlem, where the echoes of the Duke and Basie ride. Jazz and blues and rhythm hits you every time. From your shoes and then it goes right up your spine. Take me uptown, where we walk along the roads of Langston Hughes, idealize on ways of making better dues. Past and present, future, rooted in the blues. It's that kind of spirit we call and maintain. It's Harlem, Harlem, Harlem. It can't be renamed, and it will remain. call and maintain that it's Harlem, Harlem, Harlem. It can't be renamed, and it will remain. Take me to Harlem, where the echoes of the Duke and Basie ride. Jazz and blues and rhythm kicks you every time. From your shoes and then it goes right up your spine. Take me uptown as we walk along the roads of lace and hues. Idealize on ways of making better dues. Past, present, future rooted in the blues. It's that kind of spirit we call and maintain. It's Harlem, Harlem, Harlem. It can't be renamed, and it will remain, and it will remain, and it will remain.
Thank you so much. We are the New Century Big Band. I'm Ulysses Owens Jr. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Ulysses Owens Jr.'s New Century Big Band, ladies and gentlemen. Ulysses Owens Jr., New Century Big Band, thank you all for joining us. You've been a wonderful audience.
Y'all want one more? We're gonna do something for you. Y'all know we tired, but we gonna play for you. If y'all want us to play, we gonna play. We got last night we had a really great trumpeter with us, Danny Giannacucci. He's not with us tonight, but he left us a great arrangement. We're gonna play it for you. We got another guest we're gonna bring up. It's gonna be 5 trumpets. One of my favorite trumpeters in the world. He played with us Friday night, and he couldn't be with us last night, but he's here tonight. So please put your hands together for Mr. Paul Tafoya. Can we take y'all on the road? Y'all such a good audience. I'll be in Louisiana on Wednesday. Meet me there. Thank you again for coming. We really appreciate you, and hope you enjoy this arrangement. Thank you.
one more time. Ulysses Owens Jr.'s New Century Big Band, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for coming out here at Jazz at Lincoln Center. We hope to see you all very soon. Swing safely.